Yeah, I had trouble logging in. Just got in now. Was there
Me
a
too.
problem with it, or was I having the problem?
No, I was late starting.
Oh, okay. Jim, I got your check. Thank you.
Thank you. I tried a new way.
Jeff Eisen, Fishbeck. Yes, haven't seen you before. Are you? How'd you find out about us?
Hi, David McCall. I met last week. We were given a presentation at the Peninsula Shepherd Center, and he invited us to, if interested, join up. So he gave me Hank Drayton's contact information, and thought I'd join in today to see what's going on.
Well, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
And once Hank gets settled, if he wants to make me a co-host, he's welcome to do so.
Okay.
No. Wrong guy.
Marie Flatley. Is this your first time joining us?
Yes,
How did you find out about us?
through Mary Burns.
Oh, good. Oh, welcome.
Thank you.
We have a presentation usually first, and then we have Q&A following that. So if you have any computer questions, we'll try to answer them.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have a problem in Hawaii?
I don't think it's related to the state.
It's related to our leader. Okay.
It is a bit earlier there.
I
Just a
woke
bit.
up at 6:30 and rolled over. Suddenly it was 7:22.
Yes.
Oh, while we're waiting, Miriam, I did check into mail forwarding, and we
Yes.
can do it up to a year. So if you'll tell me what ending date you want, I can set it up for you to have the mail forwarded from our PO box to you.
Okay, well, I'm going to Milwaukee on May the 10th, so let's leave everything as
Sure.
is until then, and then I'll send you the Milwaukee address.
Okay, great.
Okay, I'll put it in my calendar as we speak.
Yeah, there's no fee for it either. It's all free.
Right, I use it all when I'm going back and forth, and it works pretty well. Not 100%, but I don't think anything works 100%.
Will, can you give us a little more information? I'd be interested in that for walkabout. Mail forwarding from a PO box. Do
Yes,
they forward the physical mail?
yes. Yes. If you go online to the USPO, I think it's online. They also have a form you can pick up at the post office, but I have not done it. I just checked with them yesterday, so.
I do the forwarding and I do it online, and online you can do it up to 6 months. If I want it to be longer, they said to use the paper form.
Yeah, okay.
Well, that's good information. Thank you, Miriam.
Maybe we could start with the Q&A while we're waiting.
No, just be patient, everybody. Oh, great. All right, I am going to mute everybody and then begin the presentation in a minute or two.
I'll just mention to Hank, he might want to just slow down the speed slightly because Kevin is back to his usual fast talking on this video.
Yeah, it's OneDrive this morning, right?
Correct. And I do have it queued up if you need it.
Let's see.
Toggled off because I have a limited amount of data and I don't want to use it up for backup. Instead, I'll wait until I get home and I have Wi-Fi before I back up photos. You could also decide. Hi everyone, Kevin here. Today I want to show you my favorite top 10 tips and tricks in Microsoft OneDrive. As always, if you want to jump around this video, feel free to use the timestamps down below in the description. Before we jump in, I want to do a quick refresher on what OneDrive even is. OneDrive is a cloud storage provider. If you've ever used Google Drive or Apple's iCloud before, it's the same thing as that, except this is Microsoft's version. Basically, you store your files on Microsoft's servers. Why would you ever want to do that? Well, there are three main benefits. First off, you get anywhere access to your files. So if you were to say come on a tour of the Kevin Cookie Company, you'd still be able to access all of your files even if you're far away from home. You could also back up and protect your files. So let's say you drop your laptop into a vat of boiling chocolate, your files are still safe. Lastly, you can also share and collaborate on your files. So let's say you're working on a recipe with your team for new cookies. Well, you could share it with them and they could work on that same recipe. To get the most value from OneDrive, you need to sign up for a premium plan. Now, I'm personally on the Microsoft 365 family plan, and for $100 per year, you get 6 terabytes of total storage. Now, I back up all of my YouTube videos in my OneDrive, and I haven't even passed 1 terabyte yet. Oh, and as an added bonus, you get all of these other apps like Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, along with all of that storage space. And with that all out of the way, this brings us to tip number 1. You can use OneDrive to back up all of your photos and videos on your phone, whether you have an iPhone or an Android phone. Here I am on my phone and I have a bunch of pictures that I would love to back up. I have a bunch of pictures of my son, and then I have a whole bunch of pictures of me in front of a green screen. Trust me, this isn't just for my personal collection. I use these for my YouTube thumbnails. To be able to back up your photos and videos on your phone, first off, you need the OneDrive app, and you can get this through the App Store on an iPhone or the Play Store on an Android phone. Simply search for OneDrive and you should see the OneDrive app as the best result. If you don't have it yet, go ahead and install it. Otherwise, click on Open. Once you finish downloading and installing the OneDrive app, we're very close to being able to back up all of the photos from our phone to OneDrive. To make sure this is turned on, up in the top left-hand corner, let's click on our profile picture. This opens up a menu. Next, click on Settings. Within Settings, about halfway down, there's a section for Files and Photos. Let's click on the one that says Camera Upload. Within Camera Upload, you can check which account you want to upload photos to. I have my main account checked on. Down below, you have a few different options. You can indicate whether you want to use a mobile network. I currently have that toggled off because I have a limited amount of data and I don't want to use it up for backup. Instead, I'll wait until I get home and I have Wi-Fi before I back up photos. You could also decide whether you want to include videos. Videos will take up a lot more space, so you can decide if you want that all to go towards your OneDrive account. In this case, I like backing up both my photos and videos, so I have this toggled on. Down below, you can also decide how you want to organize your photos. Right now, I have it set to month, so it'll group all my photos by month. You can also set it to year, or you could simply have it all go towards a photos folder and have no organization in place. Once you've finished setting this up, you'll see text within OneDrive that lets you know that your photos are currently uploading. I have 66 more photos that need to be backed up. Here I see an icon in the bottom right hand corner letting me know that this photo is currently only on my phone. Once it's been synced to my OneDrive, I won't see this icon anymore. This brings us to tip number 2. You can use the OneDrive app to scan in documents, and it uses technology from Office Lens. Office Lens does a far better job than what your default camera on your phone can do. To be able to use this within the OneDrive app at the very bottom, let's click on the camera icon. This opens up your camera, and here you can see that I'm currently pointing my phone at a document. This is when I hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I want to make sure I don't lose this, so I want to create a digital copy of this. Along with being able to take photos of documents, you can also take a picture of a whiteboard, business card, or just a traditional photo. Now, this is a document, so I'll select document down here. You'll see that it highlights the borders of the document in this blue box. That looks good, so I'll take a photo. It's now taken a photo, and here it's identified the borders of the document. I'll click on confirm. Here now you can see my document, and it's cleaned it up quite a bit. Look how nice this white background looks. Down below, I can add additional photos to this scan. I can apply different filters, I could crop it, and then you have some more options. For example, if you want to rotate it or maybe add some text. Right now, I'm all good, so I'll click on done. On the next screen, I could decide where I want to place this file. I'll simply put it in my files folder. Once I'm all ready to go, I'll click on this check mark. Here now on my PC, I can see the document that I scanned in. And I don't know about you, but this is a pretty nice document scan. The background looks really good. It captured all of the detail, and all I had to do was take a photo on my phone, and it's now available on my PC and anywhere else I happen to be working. This brings us to tip number 3. You can share cloud files and collaborate with others on those files. Here I am on OneDrive.com, and I see a whole bunch of files related to the Kevin Cookie Company. I have a franchise agreement right here that I want to share with some of my team members, and then we can all work on this file together. I simply right click on the file, and within this menu there's the option to share. Let's click on that. This opens up the share dialog, and right at the top I see that anyone who I share this with can edit the document. By clicking on this, I can change that setting. Let's say, for example, I only want someone to be able to view it. Right down here, I can type in names of people who I want to share it with. I'm going to type in one of my favorite coworkers, Adele, right into this field. I could type in additional names, and I could also type in a message. Now, if I don't want to type in any names up here, I could also just copy a link to this file by clicking on this text. This will place a link on the clipboard, and then I could paste it in an email or anywhere else that I want to share it with someone. Once I'm ready to go, I'll click on the button that says Send. Along with sharing on OneDrive.com, I can also share files directly through Windows. Here I am in File Explorer, and I have the same document on my computer. I could right click on it, and right here at the top I have all of these different OneDrive controls. Up here, I can share the file. This opens up a very similar shared dialog to what we saw on OneDrive.com. Here too, I could type in names, I could type in a message, or I could just copy the link to be able to share this file. I've now shared the document with Adele, and over on the left-hand side, you can see my screen, and over on the right-hand side, you can see Adele's screen. The great thing about, say, sharing documents or photos or any type of content is you can all work on them together. Here, once again, I have the franchise agreement, and I want to insert the partner's name. And this is Cookie Monster, so I'll replace this text with Cookie Monster. When I type it in over on my screen, you'll see on Adele's screen, it reflects the changes pretty much instantaneously, so it makes working together extremely easy. This brings us to tips number 4 and 5, and they also have to do with sharing. Now, previously I shared an individual file, however, you can also share an entire folder. Here, just like with a file, I can right click on it, and then let's click on the option that says share. This once again opens up the share dialog, except this time let's click on this text that says anyone with this link can edit. This now brings us to tip number 4 related to sharing. You can set your share links to expire. Within link settings towards the bottom, you can set an expiration date. Now, I don't want to share this indefinitely. Who knows what people are going to look at in a year from now? Instead, I'll click on this text and I can set it to expire this Saturday. When I click on this, I can now share the link with someone, and they'll have a very limited window to be able to access whatever contents I have in this folder. And right underneath that, we have tip number 5. You can set up a password to protect your sharing links. So right down here, let me type in a password. I'll simply type in password. Believe it or not, this is one of the most commonly used passwords. So if you ever need to guess one of your old passwords, maybe you have millions of dollars of Bitcoin hidden away, try password and see if that works. Once you're all ready to go, I have an expiration date, I have a password, I'll click on apply. Now that I've applied those different settings, here I see a calendar icon letting me know that it expires. I also see a lock icon, and now I can go ahead and share this file just like I did before. This brings us to tip number 6, and that's the personal vault. It's the one that looks like a safe in your OneDrive account. So what is it, and how is it different from a standard folder in OneDrive? Well, here I could click on any one of these folders and I could click in to view the contents. However, that's not the case with the personal vault. Let me click on this and let's see what happens. When I click on this, I need to use two-factor authentication to verify my identity. I'm going to open up my phone and type in the secret code, and once it verifies my identity, it'll log me into the personal vault. I'm now in the personal vault, and this is the perfect place to store things like maybe a photo of your passport, maybe your driver's license. In my case, I use it to store our top secret recipes for the Kevin Cookie Company. I need a little bit of extra security for that. I also have all of my passwords for my $100 million worth of Bitcoin. I'm just kidding, I don't have that much Bitcoin. Before you try to hack my account, this is totally just a made up file. Up in the top right hand corner, once I'm all done looking at all of my personal vault files, I can click on this icon and I can now log out. I'm back in my main OneDrive view, and once again my personal vault or my safe is now locked again. If I don't log out, it'll automatically log out of the vault after 20 minutes, at which point I have to use two-factor authentication to access my vault again. This brings us to tip number 7 for any documents that you store on OneDrive. So let's say a Word document, an Excel spreadsheet, or a PowerPoint presentation. You can access the version history. So let's say someone goes in, or maybe you go in and you make a few changes, but you didn't like those changes. You can go back to an older version. To access version history, simply log into OneDrive and go to the file that you want to see the history for. You can right click on it, and within the context menu at the very bottom, there's the option for version history. Let's click on that. This opens up the version history viewer, and over on the left hand side I can see the current version of this slide presentation. Down below I can also see all of the older versions. If I want to say jump back to a previous version, all I need to do is click on this text, and that'll bring me back in time to that previous version, and then I can start working from there again. Tip number 8, you can decide whether you keep files just on OneDrive or on OneDrive and on your PC. When you have File Explorer open and you're within OneDrive, you can go down to one of your files and right click on it. Here you see all of the different OneDrive options right here in the context menu. Now down below you can decide whether you want to always keep on this device. What that means is the file will be on both OneDrive and on your computer. If you want to save a little bit of space on your computer, you could also only keep it on OneDrive, in which case you can click on the option that says free up space. Now, I'm a big fan of keeping multiple backups. I like having things backed up on OneDrive and on my PC, so for all my files, I choose to always keep on this device as well. Tip number 9, you can embed files from your OneDrive account onto websites. Here, for example, I have our employee benefit handbook, and I want to put it on our kevincookiecompany.com website so all of our employees can go on and access it. To embed it, you can right click on this or click on the ellipsis to show all of the actions. Within this menu, there's the option to embed. Let's click on this. This opens up a menu over on the right hand side, and here we can see the embed code. I'll click on this and then click on copy. Now that I've copied the embed code, I want to put it into my website. I used Google Sites to create my website, but you could also use WordPress, Wix, or any other service, and you can insert your embed code. To embed on Google Sites, I'll go over to the right hand side under the Insert tab and then click on the option that says Embed. This opens up a dialog, and I could either embed a URL or embed code. I copied embed code, so I'll click on this. Next, I could paste in the code that I copied from OneDrive. One thing that's interesting, if you want your content to appear larger, you can adjust the width and the height right here within the code. I'm going to leave it to the default and then click on next. Here I can see a preview of what I'm going to embed, and it looks exactly like I'd like it to, so next I'll click on insert. I've now inserted my PowerPoint onto my page, and once again, if I wanted this to appear larger, I can go in and I can adjust the width and height. For now, this looks good, and I'll click on publish. Tip number 10, and unfortunately this is the last tip of today. I know it's sad, we've reached the end of another top tips and tricks, but don't worry, there will be more to come in the future. And this one is very handy. You can get back files that maybe you deleted accidentally, and also maybe something catastrophic happens and you lose everything in your OneDrive account. Don't despair, you can recover everything in your OneDrive account. First off, let's see how you can get an individual file back. Over on the left-hand side, there's the recycle bin. When we click on this, you'll see all of the files that you recently deleted. You can go through and you can restore individual files. You can also restore all of the items that sit in your recycle bin. Items only sit in the recycle bin for 30 days, so if you deleted something and you need it back, the sooner you do it, the better. Now let's say that something really bad happened and you need to restore your entire OneDrive. You can do that as well, and you don't have to do that through the recycle bin. Instead, let's go up to the top right-hand corner where there's a settings gear. When we click on this, let's next click into options. Within OneDrive options, over on the left-hand side, let's click on Restore Your OneDrive. And here we can restore our OneDrive to a previous time. We can restore it anywhere back to 1 month in the past. Here's a drop-down list, and I can restore yesterday, a week ago, 3 weeks ago, or even a custom date and time. Here, if I choose one of these options, I could also visualize when changes happen to my OneDrive account. And here down below, I can see what those changes were. Once I'm ready to restore all of my files, I can click on the button that says Restore. It's very similar to version history that we looked at earlier for one individual document. However, this applies to your entire OneDrive account. It's a pretty handy tool to make sure that you never lose critical content. Alright, well, if you learned some new tips and tricks today, please give this video a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Lastly, if you want to see me cover any other topics on this channel, leave a note down below. Alright, well that's all I had for you today. I hope you enjoyed, and as always, I hope to see you next time. Bye.
All right, everybody. Will, you got your hand up.
Yeah, my question was, how much space do they give you on OneDrive for free? Is it 15 gigs or something?
I don't know. Anyone?
I think Ross has an answer.
I think it's 5 gigabytes.
Oh, 5 gigs. Okay, thank you.
But if you sign up for an Outlook account, you get more. They really want you to sign up with an Office 365 account, which I think he mentioned was 4 terabytes.
Yeah, but it looked like for an extra $2 a month or something, you could get
You can always buy more, yes.
a whole lot more space. Yeah.
Anyone else have questions or comments on the video?
Actually,
I thought it was great. I learned a lot that I didn't know about it. So thank you.
Pat?
I just have a quick, maybe I missed it, but if you've got an iPhone and iMac, and I do have a HP laptop that anything with now. But would it be worth it for me to hook up? They always ask about OneDrive. Would it be worth it to hook up? I don't really do anything on the PC, and I don't know that it could be of any help with you know, the iPhone and the iMac. Although I have Outlook and all that on the Mac.
So OneDrive is for Windows,
Right.
only Windows. If you say you only do not have any important documents on your Windows device, then it's not going to help you.
That's what I thought. Okay, that's what I thought.
You know, you should be using the Apple iCloud.
Oh, right.
That's
Yeah. I
what
do
you should
that.
use on that.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Jim?
Yes, I have maybe a general question, but when you use restore, does that mean that you lose all the changes from the point that you restoring to up to when you press the restore?
I think when you're talking about restore in OneDrive, you're restoring a document, not your whole Windows install. But as far as what I would expect that it should give you the option when you do a restore to say, where do I want to put it and where do I want to call it? So in other words, you can say, I can take this and call it the master. You might, if you say, I really want to make sure that I keep my original, then you should go in on your local computer and rename that document. And then when you go to history restore, you're not going, or save a second copy under a different name, like saying master or whatever you want to call it. Then you can restore over top of whatever in your computer, that particular document or picture, and get the information back.
Okay, the other thing I guess we need to wonder about is if you restore not in OneDrive, but just general restore, does that remove everything up to that point that you put in from the restore point forward?
You have to tell me what program you're going to do the restore from.
Well,
So this isn't we're talking about OneDrive here, sir. So I think that's a
Right.
question and answer period. And yes, I
Okay.
can talk about doing that in different backup programs, but that's not OneDrive.
Okay, that's all.
Jeff?
Previous participants said that the OneDrive is for Windows only, and I just looked, and it is on my iPhone, and I do have it on my Mac as well as my PC. So it's not just Windows only; it's it works on Mac, which is what the video said, was that it makes it useful for going across various platforms.
It does show up in the the Apple Store, so I was incorrect. I would on a Apple device use the Apple OneDrive. That works very, very well. It does cost you some once you get above, say, 5 gigabytes is what they give you for free. If you go for $1 a month, it takes you to 50, and for $2 a month, it takes you to 200 gigabytes.
I agree that it is the iCloud is very useful, or Apple Drive, whatever it is for the Macs and stuff. But it does make, you know, the OneDrive available, and
Yes.
again, sometimes
Apple,
the other
yes.
advantage is if you buy the Microsoft 365, it allows you to put all those apps, the Word, Excel, and all that stuff on your Mac as well as your PC.
Okay.
Stanley?
Yeah. Thank you, Will. I was just wondering how it compares with other cloud storage devices like Google Drive or Sync or Dropbox. It seems fantastically capable and therefore complicated, but it seems to have a lot of great features. And I'm wondering how it compares with other cloud storage programs.
Well, if you're talking about that, you want to make sure that you have all of your documents backed up to the cloud and they're easy to get back. My recommendation is that you use the paid for program of Carbonite. That it will help you install it. It will help to make sure that it gets everything backed up, and will send you an email if it doesn't get backed up, if your backup freezes or for whatever. And there's a technical support line at Carbonite that will help. Now that's $100 a year, but it depends on how you want to do it. Go ahead, Stan. I'm sorry.
I was not thinking of it as a backup program. I was thinking of it as a file share program to share files with other people. To me, that's a completely separate process. I don't consider OneDrive primarily a backup system. I understand it is, but I think of it in order to share files among multiple people.
Well, I don't know how you share easily. I have not tried this, so I'm not saying it doesn't work, but you're saying I want to share a file to anybody, then they don't have to have a Microsoft account to get to that information. I'm not sure that when you create your share link, it may just send an email and you click on that and then you go get that, versus having to sign into, say, your own OneDrive and transfer the information across. It's something you'll have to play with. I would say look for reviews. Just go to the Google and say, Google to, review file sharing software. And then it should say, here's the 12 that we looked at, and here are the things that you need to know about those particular ones.
Thank you.
Fran?
So, yeah, I was going to say, but that already brought up that I do have it on my Mac. One thing that when he was showing the phone is the settings. My OneDrive on my phone didn't give me any of, now it's an iPhone, maybe that's the difference, but it didn't give me any of those options he was talking about.
Okay.
All those settings, if I go into settings, it just, goes back to basic iPhone settings.
So you might have to open the iCloud app and go to settings there versus just the iPhone settings.
You mean the, yeah, I opened the OneDrive. We're talking OneDrive?
OneDrive. I misspoke,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So I open the OneDrive app and I go to settings, and he doesn't have any of those settings he talked about. Does anyone else have it on their iPhone?
I do. Which settings are you looking for?
Well, all the ones that he was talking about, all those
forgot.
different things.
Yeah, I can access the files. It gives the file structure, and I'm looking at my iPhone, which is connected to OneDrive. It talks about shared files. I don't save photos, but it gives you that option. It gives you the option to use the camera to take a picture like he showed with that one document that he scanned. So I think like someone said, the phone needs to have the app loaded onto it.
It does have I do have the app on there. I'll take it off and reload it.
I don't know if you can see the screen, but that's what it looks. Whoops, kind of rough, but that's what it looks like.
Yeah, okay. I'll just delete it in
What are you wanting it to do?
Well, I don't really want to do anything, but all those I'm not using it on my iPhone, so I was just going to set it up to save things that I do on my iPhone, like pictures mostly, actually.
I think you might be happier with iCloud.
I have that too. Oh, by the way, so if we do have OneDrive, would you still recommend Carbonite as an extra backup service?
So Carbonite is something you would generally put onto a PC or a Mac.
Yeah. I'm back to desktops now.
So if you're comfortable with going through and making sure that you have all the settings set correctly for OneDrive and or iCloud, then those services will work just great. If you are not
Okay.
sophisticated enough to know when to go in and make sure those things are getting backed up, that's where I would use Carbonite, because it will prompt you through those settings.
Okay, thank you.
Will Wakely.
Yeah, Carbonite, you can't use Carbonite for file sharing though, can you, Ross?
I have not tried that. I know you can sign on to Carbonite online and see files, but I don't see that it is a online sharing
Yeah,
service. In other words, you can say, I
yeah.
want to tag this file and make it available to other people.
Right.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I've used OneDrive for sharing large files, and what it does is generate a link that you just send to your recipient, and it will take them to your OneDrive and share a file. So I've used that. The other thing on restore, Ross, you said restore only a file, but I thought you could restore the entire OneDrive to different dates.
Sure.
Did I read that wrong?
No, you can say, this is my new computer, restore all this information, and it will then restore that.
Yeah, okay, that's
What
fine.
I believe the gentleman was asking about was if you were backing up the whole operating system and all the programs and all the settings, and then you go into restore, you don't want to lose what you already have. That's what you have to be careful with when you do a restore from a backup program versus just the data files is what we're talking about for OneDrive or for iCloud.
Yeah, I would think if you restore it from a specific date of OneDrive, you can then go back and restore from a later date. You don't lose all the later stuff. I don't believe, but maybe.
Well, if you tell it to overwrite, so you have your file structure with all the file names in there, and when you say restore, and it says, it should ask you where you want to put it. You want to put it in the original place. You want to overwrite the existing files. And if you go in and say yes, it will overwrite what's on your local computer at that point. Now, I have not tried, but I think what you're saying is if I go to a later date within OneDrive and say restore to Friday versus restoring on Monday, that it should give you the information that was there on Friday.
Yeah. But if you restore from Friday, I think you can also go back and restore from Monday.
If that information is still there within OneDrive, yes, you should be able to pick another date and say restore over top. I always like to try to use an alternate location when I'm going in and restoring. And then copy the files over that I want. That way I'm in control of the process and not going, oops, I got rid of my originals. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, this is very helpful. Learned a lot that I didn't know about OneDrive. Thank you, Hank. Willie?
I had a couple of comments related to this discussion here. And I use OneDrive for backing up all my Microsoft products like PowerPoint, Word, Excel. And if you do want to recover a version, it always gives you the option of changing the name. I mean, it says, would you like to restore this option? And it'll say option based on some date. So it doesn't mess up the original file by default, which is good. With regard to what Stan was asking about collaboration, I have used Google products for collaboration, docs, sheets, that kind of stuff. And it works great for real-time collaboration. I mean, you can have somebody in another country looking at your spreadsheet or whatever real time, and they make changes, you see it, just like what Stratford showed on the Microsoft product. I have not used OneDrive for real-time collaboration because it's never worked in the past. There's always permissions that are screwed up. You have to give them permission, but they've worked on it in the last few years. I just haven't had anybody that wanted to try it. But Stan, if you wanted to try sharing a spreadsheet, be glad to try it real time. But in terms of sharing, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. If you give them a link to your drive, they just get access to your files on your OneDrive. So it works good for me. I have the 365 version, so I get 1 terabyte plus 6 family members, and they all get 1 terabyte of space on OneDrive. That's it.
I wasn't really referring to that dual screen that he had up. I had not even conceived of that being possible, of 2 people having the same file open and both people being able to modify it. That was something completely new to my mind. And that's not what I mean by sharing files.
Right.
I
Well,
mean,
there's 2 ways that I've done it both ways, where you just share the file, they make modifications to the file, then you can look at the file and see who made the changes and when, or you can do it real time. And that's what I've used Google for, is real time. If you're doing stuff like we've done before, where we're just sharing stuff real time, it's nice because your screen sees what my screen is, and you're just sharing a file on a cloud.
Willie, when you say Google, you're using Google Drive?
Well, yes, I use the Google universe, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's on the drive or not. If I have a Google document open in Google Docs, I could just share that with somebody real time, or I can give them a link to it, just like we were talking about with Microsoft. It's the same world, but you don't have to actually be on the drive to do it. It's just a document. And
the program is called Google Doc.
Right, Google Docs or Google Sheets is their spreadsheet version. They have a presentation package as well.
These are online programs.
Right.
Yes. So they're Google's answers to Word and Excel and PowerPoint, and you use them online.
Okay.
And then it saves the files to the Google Drive.
Right.
Okay, interesting.
The question is, and it's come up a couple times as far as being a big issue, is if Google goes down or your internet goes down, you don't have access to that information, I don't believe.
Okay, we have probably exhausted the questions on the presentation. Now about Q&A, general questions, people with problems in their computer.
Nobody has jumped in. Oh yeah, okay, Jeff?
Yeah, I had one problem completely unrelated to what we've been talking about, but I'm a photographer and I like using Lightroom, and I went to go to a more secure solid state drive instead of a hard drive, so I wouldn't lose any of my pictures. I transferred all the pictures, 3 years worth of pictures, and it looked like it transferred fine. And then I went to plug this in the next day, and it told me it didn't recognize the drive. Has anyone ever had that problem and had to recover a drive? I'm pretty sure they're on there.
Well, we spoke of last week that when you have an external USB drive, which is what that is, you need to go through the procedure to make sure that it gets closed. And that's on the paper clip or when you're down the lower right-hand side of the drive. If you ejected it there, it should come up. Now, if it doesn't, then I would unplug the drive, restart the computer, turn it off cold, turn it back on again, and then plug the drive back in. If it still cannot detect that drive, that tells me that that drive is defective and you should get a replacement of it. But then it gets to be the problem of, do you want to send this drive off for warranty repair or return it to somebody else? Quite often, it's just better to throw it away and buy another one. The SAN drives, the external ones that are there, should be very reliable.
Yeah, this is a brand new drive, and it was not inexpensive. So I was wondering if there's a local place here in San Diego that might just let me walk in and see if they can get past whatever the disconnect.
I don't
is.
know of one in San Diego anymore, and I'm not even really sure if in LA. And if you Google for that, you'll find locations. But quite often, what it is that they will send it off for repair. Now, there is a local company called Ubreak iFix. And as far as if you say, I want to have someone else look at it and make sure, they can probably plug it into another computer and say, yes, I can see it, or no, I can't. And if it comes up for them in their computer and says, nobody home, I would again then say more likely you just need to replace that drive in some manner.
Ross, have you or anyone else on this ever used any recovery software? It's a SanDisk, brand name. And I'm sure they've got something, but has anyone
Well,
ever had any luck?
If Windows doesn't see it, then you're not going to be able to get to repair it. So if you can say, I can bring the drive up, but I'm getting drive errors, but it still can see that the drive is available.
Yeah, it's not.
It comes up and says not formatted or something else like that, then possibly you can get that information. Again, powering off, powering back on again, plugging it back in, you might try a different cable. Those are probably, you can try those quickly and easily, but my guess is that if it's coming up that way, that something has gone south in the physical drive itself.
Okay, thanks.
I've used that Ubreak iFix. It's the one I used is over in La Jolla on Girard, and they have some pretty good guys there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have people take their cell phones there to have the batteries replaced, and they're usually pretty reasonable and quick to do that. For iPhones, you can take them to Apple, of course, and they'll do it there, but they will make sure that you get all your information backed up first also. But if your cell phone works great for you, what you have, it's just that you don't get a day's worth of charge out of it anymore. Taking it in for repair, you can do that there.
Right,
How
thank you.
about, if you've got Verizon service and you take it to a Verizon place, will they replace the battery?
No, they don't have that services.
Thank you.
Dan?
Did you format that disk before you started storing stuff on it, or did you just plug it in and store stuff on it?
I checked the format, and it was exFAT, which is good for both Mac and PC. So it was pre-formatted, but I did not format it with my computer.
Have you tried a different operating system?
I plugged it into my PC. I did it all on the Mac, but then I tried it on another computer, which is a PC, and it didn't recognize it either. So I think, like Ross says, it may be bricked at this point. Luckily, instead of losing 3 years, which I thought I had done, I had made monthly updates or backups on a separate drive. It's just that Lightroom will not recognize that other drive without individually going to all 14,000 of those pictures and pairing them up again. So I think I can recoup the most of them.
I think I would plug it back into the Mac and see if the Mac saw the pictures.
Oh, believe me, I tried that. I was shocked when it didn't work the next day. So
Stuff happens.
yep, it sure does. Worst possible time.
On that comment topic of solid state drives, if people are complaining to me that saying their computers are really slow, then what they really need to have in the computer, and we can check to begin with, is does it have a solid state drive? More than likely it does not. You can upgrade the computer to a solid state drive, copy all the information off to another solid state drive, and then put it back in there, clone the information. But at the point that if it's more than 2 to 3 years old, your money's better spent towards a new computer, not putting a solid state drive in there.
Yeah, I ran into a problem with a computer to boot a computer. When I tried to boot it up from being off, it said a USB external device was not closed properly,
Right.
and I couldn't even boot the computer. So that's a problem I didn't expect to happen.
Well, if it's a USB device, it should be able to. You should be able to just unplug that device, whether it's a printer or whatever else it is, as far as a USB. You want to remove all USB devices and then try booting your computer back up again. I'm surprised that there is something on the USB drive that would prevent the computer from starting up. But you can set the list of things as far as where the computer starts from. And if the USB drive is number 1 and there's a problem with it, then you'll get that message. That's why I'm saying you would go back and unplug all your USB devices.
Okay, thank you. Sammy?
This is addressed to Hank. I had mentioned that we now have a program here, a computer program that's personalized by an intern. And Hank wanted her address. And Hank, I sent you the email address for Maria. Did you get it?
Yes.
Okay, good, thanks.
Okay, other questions? I see someone on here that's been on before. Jane, are you Jane Roush? There's someone logged on just with a single name, Jane, and I want to confirm.
I'm Jane Shardle.
Shardle. Okay, thank you. Any other questions that we need to have addressed? If not, I'll turn it back over to Hank.
And I think I will go back and roll over another time. This was very successful and very well attended presentation. 24 people here right now. Dan? Oops. Yeah, Dan, you're muted. There you go.
I'd like to refer you to an article in today's paper. It's on page B4, and it talks about AI again, scary or strange. It's by a guy named Chris Reed, who usually does pretty good articles.
Good. Marie Flatley, did we answer any questions you might have? Marie?
Yeah, I have to formulate my questions around photos. And so I'll do that another time.
Well, you can do it now if you would like.
Well,
she doesn't want to.
You can get your questions organized and come back
yeah, that's my plan. Thank you.
another week.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. Last
I just want to, if I may, welcome Jeff. I met him also yesterday at the Shepherd Center and encourage his participation in future meetings and perhaps join if you feel so inclined. Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
And I want to thank you all for being here. I think this is a very, very productive way to keep communicating. So keep coming back all. Thank you.
And please let me know how to join, okay?
You go to our website, Jeff. It's
I got it.
Computer Group of San Diego, and the website is SCG SD, just the initials of Seniors Computer Group San Diego.org. And when you get there, it'll tell you how to join. It's a
thank you, Hank.
An exorbitant price of $15 a year.
Well, Willie, don't you have some sort of a QR code that you could put up, or you had one anyway?
Yeah, it circulated a little while ago.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you go to the website, that's straightforward there.
Yeah, I've got that link from Hank's email, so I'll go back to that. Thanks.
And Willie, that QR code takes you directly to our website.
Yes.
Does it take you to the specific join area or just to the main?
To the first page, which if you scroll down,
page.
has
Yeah, okay.
links to everything else.
Good.
You know, I made the two versions of the brochure. One was basically for online use, and one was for tacking up on a bulletin board somewhere. So the bulletin board was more for somebody with a phone that was walking by that wanted to scan the code. The online brochure that I gave to Mary and she posted on her website in her class notes is Mary Burns. is it's got links to things, which you kind of have to have a computer to link to. But it's got links to the Zoom session right here, direct link to the Zoom session and other information things. So I'm
Yeah, I was
trying to
just
gauge which one was working, but I haven't heard anybody say they've gone through the QR code to get here where we're at now, but hoping that'll come about.
Just a
It's been
comment,
posted in several locations.
Ray Schlater, you may notice that your name is misspelled.
Oh my goodness.
Hank, are you still with us?
Ray, he's muted. Whoops.
Did somebody call me?
Yeah, Ray, I was just going to notify you that your name is misspelled.
You know,
In Zoom.
well, I have to look into that.
You can click rename yourself in the upper right-hand corner.
I don't know what happened there, but you're right.
We know who you are, so it doesn't make any difference how it's spelled.
All right, everybody. I'll see you all next week. And I bid you aloha.
Hey, thanks, Hank.
Aloha.
And happy Earth Day.
Yeah, that's right.